So, good evening. I have just changed the time a little bit. The earlier we start, the better for us. So, please let me know who all are there. So, we'll proceed with the second session of the VARC test series. And what I have for you today is, well, actually, it's a pretty good weather. So, taking out time, we'll start with the second session. So, let's put your preparation to test. Please let me know who all are there. Beginning with that, I am Siddhi Bangard. I did my MBA in HR from XLRI. I did my undergrad from BIT Mesra, Ranchi. I have 3 years of teaching and mentoring experience, and obviously 2 years of industry experience. I worked with EY and Apollo Hospitals as a strategic HR head. Apart from that, I cleared XAT, SNAP, TestNet, SPGen, MDI, IMT Ghaziabad, IRMA, all in 2016. Got a seat in all of these Ivy League, Ivy Plus League schools. So much so that after I got into XLRI, I didn't go and appear for the interview for I'm Koi Code. I was kind of done by then. Any which ways. So you can follow me on the Unacademy app here. This is my profile link, and this is the Telegram link for the CAT 2020, where I am available. You can follow me here so that you will know about the classes that I'm going to take on this platform, the YouTube platform, as well as the Unacademy app platform. So, with that, today's agenda will be doing some examples of parajumbles, vocabulary, and contextual usage. So, I'm not doing any RCs today because I'll take a separate dedicated session on RC where I will not teach you how to go about the RC, but I will teach you one or two or three tips to get your RC, completely under control, because RC is a major chunk of the CAT, XAT, or any other entrance test that you're giving for MBAs. With that, you can join us on the Unacademy CAT4MBA session or the Telegram @ CAT4MBA. That's our Telegram address. With that, on Unacademy Plus platform, you can chat with me just like you can do it here. Ask your doubts, answer in the poll so that you also get a leaderboard. Then I will be starting my special classes, which anybody who's enrolled with Unacademy or not enrolled with our Plus courses can attend. We'll be starting that from tomorrow onwards. We have live test and quizzes. Courses are aligned with the CAT syllabus. And one subscription of Unacademy gives you access to all the live and recorded sessions that you have on Unacademy regarding your CAT 2020 or CAT preparation. With that, please use my code SBUS to get a 10% off on your CAT subscription. 12 months is 15,750 and 24 months is 18,900. You can use my code SBUS. With that, let's proceed for today. So here is a timer on the screen. All right. I hope I'm audible. I hope I'm completely audible. If I'm not audible, please let me know. And please also let me know who all are there in the class so that I can take your names and, I can address you. So I'm giving you 45 seconds. I'll be giving you 45 seconds to answer this. But I'll give you, say 15-20 seconds just to read the question. And then I'll start the timer. And in the 45 seconds, you're supposed to give me the option answers for the vocabulary test. So here, it's a synonym test today. You have to answer me the closest in meaning to the words that are given here as 1, 2, 3. So we'll be doing 10 such words today, and you will have 45 seconds for 3 of them. All right. So please let me know. I'll give you a 15-second start now. So we'll do that in 1 minute. May I please know who all are watching? Because that makes it easier for me to actually address you. May I please know who all are watching? All right. Your time starts now. And if you want the PDF of this, you can join my Telegram channel. So on the Telegram channel, I share the PDF of all my YouTube videos. Hello, Rishabh. So the time is running out. I want the answers to 1, 2, and 3. You can separate your answers by a comma or whatever you feel like. So Rishabh and others, what are the answers I can expect here? I haven't received any answers yet. You can read the question, right? Word that is closest in meaning. So aberrant, what is the option that is closest to aberrant? Am I audible? Okay, so Khushbu has answered me. Khushbu, Prasanna is here. All right. For one, it is 3, right? Khushbu, 1 is not 1. Aberrant means something which is out of usual. So it is abnormal. For example, say normally you are, for example, normally when you enter your house, you don't see anything. For example, if you enter your house and you find dirty footsteps leading to your stairs, then that will be an abnormal situation, because usually if you are living alone and if you find dirty footsteps leading into your house, that means somebody has broken into your house. So that's an abnormal situation, an aberrant situation, right? For example, if somebody enters in your MBA college, say I am Ahmedabad with a 77 percentile, then that's an abnormal situation. Okay. All right. Rishabh has answered as 2, 3, 3. Rishabh, for the first one, it is 3. Ablutions, I don't know if you guys have heard about the word called morning ablutions. If you actually read Gandhi's book, My Experiments with Truth, he actually talks about after completing my morning ablutions. So ablutions actually mean cleansing, also used for bowel movement and other things. So it's actually related to cleansing. So Rishabh, option number 2, you have answered correctly. That's cleansing. And acclivity is not plain. Acclivity actually means elevation. It means an upward slope. That's what acclivity means. So that's a new word. And for another words here, purge is also related to cleansing, but that is actually more in terms of your karma, that you purge of your bad karma. So your bad karma is purged out of you, so that your sins are all purged. So that's actually more related to sins and Christian philosophy. Bewildered here means surprised. Delirious means you are rave, you're out of your senses. Usual means the usual. Is that okay? Am I understandable to everybody? Should we move on to the next question? All right. I'll again give you 15 seconds to read and 45 seconds to answer. All right. Prasanna, adrift means you are simply floating around without any direction. That's what adrift means. For example, if you are an astronaut in space, then in the space station, you are just sailing adrift. You have no direction, you're just floating around. That's adrift. Yes? I hope I've answered your question. All right, your time starts now. So you can answer me in the format Rishabh has answered. Two of them are pretty easy. Hydrosis part, you might have to apply your brains. Khushbu, why are you answering me only one option all the time? What about 5 and 6? You still have 25 seconds to go. Okay. So Khushbu has answered for 5. What about 6? All right. Rishabh says 2, 2, 3. Right? And Prasanna says 1, 3, 3. Khushbu says 3 and 4. All right. So Khushbu, you will be delighted to know that yes, this is 3 and only Khushbu has answered this correctly. Hydrosis actually means sweating only. The act of sweating is called hydrosis. That's another word. What do we mean by humdrum? Any idea? Can anybody tell me what is humdrum? It is actually kind of opposite to how it sounds like. Impervious is unreceptive. Impervious is, if you remember Harry Potter, impervious, if you have that charm, then somebody cannot actually, enter your mind. So somebody's mind is impervious. That means you can't go and read their thoughts or plant your thoughts there. So that was a charm that was used very often in Harry Potter. So that means unreceptive here. Impeccable means something which you cannot question. For example, impeccable work ethics. Something which is immaculate. That's impeccable for you. Rebuke here means censure. For example, if you don't get good marks, your parents used to rebuke you, or they used to tell you that this is not good, or they might ignore you, or they might not, give you all the attention that you want. So censuring somebody is rebuking them. Is that okay? No, Rishabh. Humdrum actually means monotonous, monotonously boring. The routine humdrum of life, or the humdrum of life, or the humdrum of real life. So monotonously boring is humdrum. Is that okay? Prasanna, it's not outstanding, it's monotonously boring. That's humdrum. And eulogize means you talk good things about that person. For example, what usually, yes, impeccable record is outstanding record, or impeccable work ethics is outstanding work ethics. Eulogize means something which we actually usually do on funerals. If you have been to Christian funerals, or if you watched English series, then they actually talk nice things about somebody on their funeral. So eulogize means you praise that person. It means praise. Similar to compliment. Retract means you take back your messages, like you do on YouTube when you answer incorrectly. All right. Okay. Let's come to question number 7 to 10. I'll give you another 15 to 20 seconds to read and then 45 seconds to answer me. You can answer in the similar format as Prasanna and Rishabh. All right. We have learned quite some words today. All right. Another 5 seconds. Hello, Harshvardhan. Good to see you in the class. And what about 7, Harshvardhan? Why are you not answering question number 7? Don't know, confused? The time starts now. Hello, Harshvardhan. All right. So 7 is 1. Okay. Seems like 1. 1 is the second meaning of option number 7. Guys, the rest of them are pretty easy. We hear them in and out, day in and day out. Any answers on that? Prasanna says 3 and 4. That's for 7 and 8. What about 9 and 10? Not attempting? Rishabh? Khushbu? All right. So I'll talk about them since the time is over. Quagmire, the very first meaning is actually a swamp, a wet area which is muddy. So that's a swamp. Quagmire also means a difficult situation. So quandary is actually the second meaning. However, quandary is not a difficult situation. It actually means a dilemma when you have to choose between two different options. So quandary is actually a dilemma, and quagmire is a difficult situation. You're caught in a quagmire. And A swamp also means a quagmire, a wet muddy area. All right. Now, Prasanna says seventh is wrong. Prasanna says for anomaly, it's a glitch. Yes. Eighth, I think, has been answered correctly by most of you. Khushbu says 10th is option number 4. Okay. And Harshvardhan says ninth is option number 4. No. Ardent means fervent. If we say, for example, okay. Harshvardhan, do you like football? Or do you guys might be, everybody actually loves Sachin. I'm assuming and presuming that that's jumping to a conclusion. But we can use this word like this. I am an ardent fan of Sachin Tendulkar. I'm a fervent fan, a very, very big fan, very big follower, religious follower of Sachin Tendulkar. So ardent means fervent. Dispassionate means something which is done impassionately. You know, you have a very lukewarm response towards it. So lukewarm and dispassionate are kind of synonyms. Apathetic is also a synonym with dispassionate or lukewarm. Now, impudence. Okay, Rishabh has finally answered. And Khushbu, ninth was wrong. Harshvardhan, ninth was again wrong. 10th, Khushbu says is fourth. No, it's not resistant. Rishabh says it's option number 2. No. Impudence actually means audacity. Impudence means boldness. Right? For example, somebody actually going into a lion's den is actually boldness, or somebody speaking against corruption is impudence. It's the audacity, right? You have the audacity to do this. Or sometimes you even question people's audacity. Are you audacious enough to do this? Are you audacious enough to go and complain against your boss? Are you audacious enough to go and complain of sexual harassment? So that's audacity. Impudence is audacity or boldness. Shallowness is, everybody knows, somebody who's not a very genuine person. Timidity means shyness, and resistance, so we all know, somebody who will resist to change. All right. So Rishabh, you got first correct, seventh correct, eighth you got incorrect. It should be 4. And Rishabh, ninth was third, that is also incorrect, and 10th is also incorrect. Okay. All right. Moving from vocabulary, we'll come to contextual usage. This is again, it's vocabulary in a context. How well do you understand the difference between the words? So I'll give you 1 minute to read the sentences to understand the question, and then 45 seconds to choose the option A, B, C, D. These options are here. I will give you 45 seconds to choose it. All right. Guys, are you able to follow me? Prasanna, Harshvardhan, Rishabh, Khushbu. Are you guys able to follow me? We'll be taking a couple of classes starting from tomorrow, special classes on the on the Unacademy platform also. I'll possibly be taking some strategy sessions for the last 2 months. All right. Are all of you appearing for CAT 2020? I'm guessing, right? Okay. Chalo. Another 30 seconds for you to read and then 45 seconds to answer me. Another 15 seconds for you to read. अपनी reading speed बढ़ाओ. That's very, very important if you're appearing for CAT 2020. Whatever you read, calculate the number of words that are there divided by the number of minutes you're taking to read, and calculate word per minute. How many words per minute are you able to read? It should be somewhere between 120 to 200 at least, if you really want to complete your paper, English paper. All right, your time starts now. Rishabh has answered. Who else? दिनेश, हर्षवर्धन, प्रसन्ना, खुशबू. चलो भाई, टाइम ओवर हो गया है. इतना टाइम नहीं रहेगा एग्जाम में. हर्षवर्धन says A. Who else? All right. Harshvardhan, why A and why not C? Rishik says A. Okay. चलो इसको solve करते हैं. Let's come to the first one. Among the groups, the Nazi regime and its Axis partners singled out for persecution on so-called racial grounds were the Roma gypsies. Now, prosecution usually happens in court and persecution usually happens on racial grounds when you single out a community and you try to exterminate it. So, for this one, statement 1, the correct option is B, right? If we say it is B, then option number B and option number D are already out of question. Is that okay? Now, if we are able to decide whether it is followed by A, the second one is A or B, we can actually easily decide it. Now, drawing support from the many non-Nazi Germans who harbored or harnessed social prejudice towards Roma, the Nazis judged Roma to be racially inferior. So, harnessing something means you're utilizing it. Harboring, you harbor feelings. Here, why did non-Nazi Germans? So, basically, apart from the Nazi Germans who were following Hitler's, there were also non-Nazi Germans. They had feelings or prejudice. So, social prejudice, when you talk about, you basically harbor a social prejudice because it's kind of a feeling, right? You don't harness a social prejudice. So, it's option number A, which makes C the correct answer. Let's talk about third and fourth statement. Say if you're not able to understand option number 2, then let's come to statement 3 and statement 4. So, under the Nazi regime, German authorities subjected Roma to arbitrary internment or internment, forced labor and mass murder. Internment here is the correct word. It is actually, kind of you send them into prison or you actually capture them and make them do menial work. That's internment. All right. Now, let's come to statement number 4, which talks about German authorities butchered or marauded tens of thousands of Roma in the German occupied territories of the Soviet Union and Serbia and thousands more in killing centers. The army marauded somebody, that's true. All right, you overrun a group of people. So it's usually used when two armies are fighting with each other. However, butchered is the correct term used here because they actually killed a lot of people. So it's A again. Is that okay? Harshvardhan, Rishabh, Rishik, are you able to follow it? It's option number C. So Rishabh got it correct. All right. Let's move on to contextual usage 2, question number 2. Again, I'll give you 20 seconds to read, 25 seconds to read, and 45 seconds to answer. The time starts now. Any doubts so far? Any questions? तुम लोग मुझसे बात नहीं करोगे तो मुझे पता नहीं चलेगा. So keep talking. Okay. So Harshvardhan was the first to get it correct. Yes, it's option number C. Rishabh and Rishik. Any ideas? Or still figuring it out? Okay, let's discuss it. Basically, this entire para is about, how the Arctic ice is actually declining, or the ice that we see, it's actually decreasing. So when descent means to come down or to climb down, all right? Decline means decreasing, as I was just telling you, that the Arctic ice is decreasing. So Rishabh, it's not option B, it's option number C, all right? Harshvardhan, I'll be starting tomorrow. Timing I'm yet to finalize, but mostly we'll be doing a strategy session on how to utilize this next 2 months of your CAT preparation. Either that, or maybe we'll have a complete test on the VARC, because I'm presuming on the Unacademy platform we'll have more people coming in, so you will have nice competition to actually judge your preparation. So let me know if you guys have anything else in mind, we can take that up also. Is that okay? All right. So which one, Rishabh, this passage or the previous one? The Nazi passage or this one? Which passage was difficult, Rishabh? I will explain you the passages, don't worry. This passage is about the declining Arctic ice. And what are the observations around it? So the first sentence talks about that the Arctic ice has been slowly, steadily descending. Descending means climbing down. It is not climbing down from anywhere. It is declining. Because, and how do you know that? In square mileage. So you are actually giving it a number. You are quantifying it. So when you're quantifying it, that means some quantity is there. That means decreasing or declining word will be used. So for the first one, the option is option number B. That means B and A are cancelled out of the equation itself. Okay, Rishabh, that's why it will not be A. Let's come to the second statement. Its southern counterpart has yielded more erratic, erroneous and controversial data since monitoring began in the late 1970s. When we're talking about the southern counterpart, and it actually refers to Arctic. So what is the southern counterpart of Arctic? That's the Antarctica, right? Now that has actually yielded in erroneous. Why will erroneous data come in? But erratic data which is you cannot confirm. It's not a consistent data that is coming. Sometimes the data says that yes, the Antarctic ice is increasing. Sometimes it says it's decreasing. We actually not very sure, even ever since the monitoring began in late 1970s. So it's erratic. It's not erroneous here. So option number B. Because, and why are we saying erratic? Because we have clearly established in the first sentence that we are talking about declining ice. So definitely we are sure that it is declining, but we are not very sure about the Antarctica part of it. So the data is erratic but not erroneous. Rishabh and Harshvardhan, are you able to follow me? Whoever is watching are you able to follow me? If you're not able to follow me, ask. Abhi pucho. So again, it's option number B. So definitely then it becomes option number C. But let's check the last two statements also. And option number D is incorrect here. Okay. Now, the February 14 mark for Antarctic Sea supersedes lows seen around this time in 1997. Now, they are saying that somewhere around February 14, they started marking the Antarctic sea ice also. Now, if they are actually saying that very low levels of ice were actually witnessed, something which is surpassing the data which came in 1997. Now, supersedes and surpasses are very close enough, but supersedes is usually used in racing terms. Somebody superseded something. So, it's usually used for persons. Surpasses here is a better word. So, it's surpasses. The data which has come for February 14 actually surpasses the lower ice mark that was seen in 1997. That means the Antarctic ice sea has actually further declined than what was in 1997. Last sentence when we talk about, so this one is A, and the last sentence is in 2012. Now they're talking about in 2012, Antarctic sea ice, that is the southern counterpart of the Arctic sea ice, actually hit a record monthly high, with scientists theorizing or prognosticating that melting ice shelves were contributing to the growth. Now, prognosticating, anybody can tell me the meaning of prognosticating? Prognosticating actually means foretelling. Now, when you already have the facts, then you will not foretell anything. You will not anticipate anything. You are basically making a theory that since we are recording that the ice is actually in a good condition, it might be because, the sea rise is high, it might be because the ice shelves have melted, relating to a rise in the sea level. So prognosticating would have been they are foretelling something. For example, I might prognosticate that the GDP will not rise above 5% in the coming years. Yes. So option number A is correct. Here it is theoretizing. You are making a theory of what you have observed. Rishabh, is it clear now? Okay. Let's come to contextual usage, passage number 3. Okay. All the explanations are given here. So once you are in the Telegram group, I will share all the PDF with you so that you can practice on it. And if you still have doubts, you can come again and discuss with me. But the best way to do passages, the best way to learn more is to actually go and look for words you don't understand, because the more your vocabulary is on the higher side, the easier it will be for you to actually clear the exam. In fact, if you read that book by Norman Lewis, the first thing he says that there is scientific evidence that the people who have a higher vocabulary, they are actually more famous, they are more successful because they can draw out the meanings what other people are trying to say. So it's pretty important. All right. Let's start with this one. I'll give you 20-25 seconds to read the passage and then 45 seconds to answer. The time starts now. Very good, Harshvardhan. Already answered. Rishabh, पैसेज नहीं समझ आ रहा है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. We'll do it by elimination this time, even if you don't understand the passage. That was very quick, Harshvardhan. Very happy for you. So, Rishabh, any answers so far? Still trying to get a hang of the passage. Okay. Are you guys aware about the conservatives and the liberals? Okay. So Harshvardhan and Rishabh, you both have given me the correct answer. Yes, it's option number D. Now, interestingly, even if you don't understand the first sentence, proclivity basically means inclination. All right. So inclination, preference. So conservatism, people who are conservators, they have a preference for the historically inherited. That means something which is already there, they will always have a preference for that. They will not be able to, be very accommodating towards change. Yes, Harshvardhan, very right. Preference is the common link because this preference, they both have been used here. So if you find that, it can be either option C or option D. Now you can directly go to option number 2 and see that the preference has traditionally rested on an organic conception of society, that is on the belief that society is not merely a lose. Lose here means you lost on something, right? You are a loser. You could not win something. So it's the opposite of win here. Lose is something, now how do I explain it? I guess you already know the meaning. So it's not tight, it's loose ends. Khula khula hai. So that is on the belief that society is not merely a loose collection of individuals. So loose here will be not this loose, that you are a loser collection of individuals. It's a loose connection of individuals. So it's B again. That's why option number D. So just by looking at the first two sentences, you can do it correctly. Yes, Harshvardhan, right. Now, coming to the third statement, conservatives thus favor institutions and practices that have evolved gradually and are manifestations of continuum or continuity and stability. So if you look at the word stability, you cannot have continuum. The parallel word that goes with it is continuity. And the statement 4 is government's responsibility is to be the servant, not the master of existing ways of life. And politicians must therefore resist the temptation to transcend or transform society and politics. So they are saying the government's responsibility is to serve the people. It is not there for transforming people's life or, to actually change the entire way the people are thinking. So it's again option number B, transform. Transcend is you actually overlook. All right. Okay. Now let's come to contextual usage, passage 4. I'll give you another 25-30 seconds to read and 45 seconds to answer. Another 5-7 seconds and your time starts. Harshvardhan has already answered. Your time starts now. Rishabh, are you able to understand the paragraph? Harshvardhan has finally answered. Anybody else wants to answer this? All right, yes, both of you are correct. It's triple A B. Any confusions here? This entire paragraph is about the concept of society in our normal emergence or how it has evolved in with us, the non-indigenous people, and how the concept of society is not there in the indigenous people or the original people, original settlers. Yes, both of you are right. It's option number 3. So power distributed and exercised hierarchically among groups, individuals is a requirement for the concept of society to emerge. Surge doesn't make a sense. Surge means something is increasing constantly. So surge doesn't make a sense. It's emerge. So it's option number A. There should be no wonder that among indigenous, not ingenious, ingenious here means original. And indigenous means original settlers. That's a term used for the aboriginal people. Right? So there are still egalitarian societies because there's no civilization. In the 50s, there were forest dwelling, hunting, gathering groups. So it will be groups, not crowds. It doesn't make any sense. Right? So again, A. And even their concept of community was not clear. They had no classification. Various communities, like we have the Varna system, they went by kinship. Who's the brother of whom, who's the sister of whom, who all are related by blood. That's what your kinship is about. So it's option number B here. So it's AAA B. Let's come to context usage 5. So I'll give you 20, 25, 30 seconds to read and 45 seconds to answer. The time starts now. Okay, Harshvardhan has already answered. Rishabh, what about you? Harshvardhan is correct. Rishabh, I haven't got a answer from you. Yes, it's A, B, A, A. Right. So, ushered here means you are being escorted. So, Dawkins, he used to think that, Christians should be very willing to die, because the moment they die, they will be directly taken to paradise or heaven. However, he does not see that Christianity, like most religious faith, values human life gravely. Now, what he actually failed to observe is, even though people will be taken to paradise once they die, but Christianity does really value human life a lot. So, with that, not gravely, um, deeply is a more appropriate word. Grave is usually for the situation and how much you worry about something. Then it comes, when you talk about feelings, then it's deeply. When you talk about situations, it's gravely. All right. The suicide deserts. This desert is for something sweet. This desert is for leaving somebody, deserting somebody in the times of need. You have read this book before? Great. Then you must be knowing about it. Because it has become worthless, the martyr surrenders his or her most precious. Now, that's why the Christians actually differentiate between a suicide and a martyr. Which one? Okay, the God decision, the God delusion. All right, great, great, Harshvardhan. So it's because they say that the martyrs actually are surrendering their most prized possession, that is their life. However, suicide people, they are just taking it for themselves. All right. And fourth, this act of self-giving, generally known as sacrifice, a word that has unjustly accrued, accredited, all sorts of politically incorrect implications. Now, accredited here means you give accreditation or creditation to something, credibility to something, usually given to universities or educational institutions. Accrued is something actually comes to you as a means of whatever the implications are surrounded by that word. So the act of self-giving or sacrifice, the word sacrifice is actually now garnering all the sort of politically incorrect implications, though in the case of martyrs, but here they are talking about self-giving. So it's accrued and it's option number A. Finally, let's move to the last question of the day, which is para jumble. It's a little difficult. So there are 5 sentences. Yesterday we did we did para jumbles with 4 sentences. So today we'll be doing with 5 sentences. You have to figure out which 4 of them actually make a meaningful paragraph and find the odd one out. The 5th sentence which actually does not go with the entire para. So I'll give you 1 minute to read and 45 seconds to formulate the the sequence. So it's a theta question. There are no options here. You can formulate your own sequence of sentences. So take a minute and then another 45 seconds. Is it legible? Can you read it properly? Tell me the sequence here. Another 15 seconds and then I'll switch on the timer. You also tell me the sequence, Harshvardhan. Sequence and the odd one out. Harshvardhan says the odd one out is sentence number 1. And what is the sequence, Harshvardhan? How do you arrange them together? Give me the sequence. I will automatically figure out the odd one out. The time starts now. You have to select one, Harshvardhan. You only told me yesterday, right? That ma'am, I have difficulty in theta questions. So answer me one final one. Which one do you want to go with? 3245 or 3254? 3245? Rishabh says 3245. And Harshvardhan? Which is your answer? Three two 5 4. Okay. Now, interestingly, the correct sequence is 2531. 4 is the odd one out here. Now, let's actually check this. How this is actually 2531 and not 3245 or 3254. Let's start with option number 2. Actually read it. All of these statements are talking about India's population problem. Now, we are talking, if you look at option number 5, it says not a news really, right? That's the first sentence. That means some news might have been released previously for this sentence to follow, right? So you, Rishabh said 5 is following option number 4, right? And Harshvardhan is saying 5 is following option number 2. So this part is correct, right? So 2 is to be followed by 5 because 2 was the part that was the news. So last month, the United Nations released the 26th revision of the World Population Prospects and forecast that India will overtake China as the most populous country by 2027. So this is the part of the news that has been released. All right. Now, interesting thing is, what are we to follow it by? So, we will be following it by option number 5 because this is the news that we are talking about. We are saying that no, it is not a news really. We have known for a long time that India is destined to be most populous country in the world. So, whatever United Nations is saying as a revision of the world population prospects is not a news to us. We already know that India will overtake China. So, this actually negates what has been given in the news. Now let's talk about third, fourth and first wala thing. Fourth here does not make sense after 5. Harshvardhan, are you listening to me? Why fourth does not make sense? Because if you directly put the fourth sentence, then it concludes the entire thing. Thus, even if India would constitute a policy that reduces its fertility rate to the Chinese level, India will overtake China as the most populous country. Then what about the other statements? Right? So, actually, let's check it out. If something should precede to or not. Now, one cannot precede to, all right, because it is talking about short-term projections. Now, where else are we using the term projections? We are using it in option number 3. Population projections are developed using existing population and by adjusting for expected births, deaths and migration. This sentence will only come once you have introduced the news, once you have talked about World Population Prospects Report, then only you will discuss about population projections. Now you have to introduce the concept first. So talking about that, if 2 is followed by 5, then the only place 3 can come is after 5. Alright, so that means option number 3 will be following option number 5 or sentence number 5. And if 3 is there, population projections, blah blah blah, then if you're talking about population projections, then anything related to population projections will actually come as after option number 3. That's why 2531 will form a coherent paragraph. Here we are not even suggesting whether what we should do to talk about the Chinese wala thing. It's actually not connected to any of the other 4. That's why it is 2531. So odd one out is option number 4, wherein you talk about thus even if India could blah blah blah, because we are not talking about any policy measure here. The rest of the sentences are connected to one another. So the best way to do it is to actually check for words if they are connecting sentence together. Harshvardhan, the best way to get logic out of this is, see, there is a formula to do that. The formula is catch the words. If 2 or more words are repeating at the same place, for example, here we caught it by the use of projections. Understood? Harshvardhan, Rishabh, are you able to get me now? And all those who are watching? We had a word projections here. And if we actually read 3 and 1, they actually make sense. You introduce the concept of population projections and then you talk about short-term projections. And both these sentences actually indicate towards India's population problem, right? So that means they should be linked to the para. Now, similarly, when you're talking about news and option number 2, they are also supposed to be linked, because otherwise this sentence will be standalone and no other sentence can actually follow or precede option number 2. Coming to sentence number 1, it cannot be the first sentence. Coming to sentence number 3, it could have been the first sentence and followed by 1. But if it is the first sentence and if we then write, if it is then followed by option number or sentence number 1, then you don't have another 2 sentences to follow it. Because if you already told about the population projections, you can't talk about sentence number 2 and 5, right? So that's how the logic formulates. You have to see, the best way to do it is to identify what will be your first statement, or the second way. Actually, there are 2 ways to do it. The 2 ways is, first identify what should be your first identify the clusters. So here there were 2 clusters, 3 and 1 and 2 and 5. All right. Okay, and there were 2 clusters, and the second thing that you need to identify is what is the first sentence. Is that okay? Understood? So first find out what are the clusters there. It was 3, 1 and 2, 5. They should be together, and then find out which can be the first sentence. So you will automatically feel that 3, 1 cannot be superseded or cannot be prefixed by 2, 5. But 2, 5 can be prefixed by 3, 1, because 2, 5, 2 is a general idea about population. 5 actually talks more about the population. 3 talks about population projections, further introducing the idea. And 1 then carries it forward. So that is how you're supposed to do it. Is that clear? Are we good to go? Everybody clear? Okay. And one more thing. Why can't we actually have sentence number 4? Because if you end up with sentence number 4, you cannot derive, because this sentence already has a does in it. Now, if it does have a does in it, right, then it means that this is a concluding sentence. But the conclusion that this sentence gives, that if we have a policy so that we will actually reduce our fertility rate, but despite that we will be ahead of China, you can't get this or derive this conclusion from the remaining 4 sentences. That is why option 4 is the odd one out, right? So with that, I'll end the session here. If you like the video, please subscribe to our channel, this CAT4MBA channel, and follow me on the Unacademy app. I have already given you my profile ID. My name is Siddhi Bangard. Follow me there so that whenever there is a special class, all right. So if there is a special class tomorrow, you will get the notification. But mostly we are starting with the special classes either by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. There'll be continuous 15 special classes, and in which I will cover your, all the related to VARC. I'll be covering 3 topics there: LR and VARC, or your verbal ability and RCs, and your GK for the exam, especially for testnet. I will be covering all of them there and also on the YouTube sessions. All right, guys. Arav, as of now, since you are in 12th standard, right, and you'll need to complete your graduation before you can apply for CAT, I would suggest that you please start reading the newspapers and improving your reading speed, because RC is the crux of CAT or any other aptitude exam. So, I mean, your reading speed should be somewhere 200 to 220 words per minute if you really want to crack CAT. Is that okay? Rishabh, similarly for you. Are you all guys graduates? Rishabh and Harshvardhan, engineers or from any other stream? Arav, does that solve your query? You're welcome, Arav. As of now, the only focus should be increasing your reading speed. And if you read the newspapers regularly, it will increase your GK. And once the GK and the reading part is there, nobody can stop you from cracking CAT. Non-engineers. All right, Harshvardhan, but you are doing really well. Glad to see you here. Any queries that you have about the exam? Anything that you want me to address? Or are we good, everybody? Rishabh and Harshvardhan both are final year non-engineers. All right. So how are you finding English? Are we guys good? Yes, sure, Arav. Start after 12th only. But reading newspapers is not a problem. You can read newspapers even in your 12th standard. Reading newspapers is a very good habit. So do that. Okay then, guys. Harshvardhan, Rishabh, no problems, no issues? We should call it a day. Any queries that you have? Okay. Rishabh, the best thing that you can do for quant, since I had a similar problem when I started off, I would say take one topic at a time. Identify the topics you are good with. You don't need to be good with everything. Identify the basic maths level, 10th maths level topics, time and speed, or that part of what do you say, percentages, ratios. So that start practicing. These are the easier bits of CAT. Very easily done, and you can score high in DI also. Right, Harshvardhan is right actually. If you want more suggestions and quant suggestions, then Arav, you can join the Unacademy Plus course. That will be very beneficial for you. SBUS is my referral code. So you can come to the classes regularly if you want any guidance. All right. So Rishabh, for you, the quant suggestion is identify the easier topics from the 10th standard, practice them. That will actually make you sail through the entire CAT exam. You need not do geometry or any other difficult topics. Geometry is a little typical, it takes time to solve. So start with the 10th standard topics. Is that okay? All right. Thank you, guys. Bye, guys.